I know he sent it up to Navarre, and I haven't had a chance to.
Well, he got a letter. So, but it was here, it was a hard copy.
Okay.
So I think he was requesting, can I get the copy of the letter I received?
Oh.
I think Alicia provided him
That.
the letter that he was supposed to was in the city hall.
Okay.
But the that's all COG stuff, right? That's not.
Yeah, I mean, if they're the ones in charge of that.
Okay, no worries, you're good. I apologize. I'm like, I was saying I didn't put in my bag. Yeah, we did something and then I had time to
There was a period for that.
Yeah, I got done.
You missed it.
Yeah.
Kind of missed it.
And then we still have to.
But yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Oh, yes.
learning it. So I'll answer the phone. Okay. They're being. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it. Awesome.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing kind of the presentation. I mean, it's kind of cool to stop it. Presented sometimes the hearing, I mean, the speakers and all that as well. So,
I'll send a reminder email for the next meeting.
okay, sounds good, thank you.
Renee signed. Maybe it's in there, okay. Maybe it's in there. I like those shoes, lady.
Hey, thank
At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Montebello City Council and Finance Public Authority joint regular meeting for Wednesday, October 26, 2022. It is 5:06. Will the Deputy City Clerk and Board Secretary please call roll?
Sure. Councilmember Peralta,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez,
Here.
Councilmember Torres,
Here.
Councilmember Melendez,
Here.
and Mayor Cobos-Cawthorn.
And I am here. Mr. City Attorney, can you please read the statement of oral communications?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. At this time, anyone in the public that wishes to address the City Council on closed session items only would have had to turn in a card or submitted their written comments. Do we have any written cards for one for closed session? None for closed session. And how about written comments? None. So with that, we have no public comments for closed session. It'd be appropriate then to recess into closed session for the two items that are listed on the agenda.
Okay, we'll be back shortly. We are going into closed session. Thank you. We are back from closed session. Mr. City Attorney, can you please report back? It is 6:08.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The record should reflect with the City Council recess into closed session, with all 5 members being present to discuss the 2 items that were announced prior to recessing into closed session. Those items are listed on the agenda, and the following is my report. On the threat to public services or facilities, there actually was no briefing tonight on that matter, nothing to report. On conference with real property negotiators, that item was briefed to the City Council. Those relate to items 8 and 9. And actually, those items, Madam Mayor, when we get to the changes to the agenda, those items will not be heard this evening and will be set over to another date, in as much as we're still working on the final terms of those agreements. That concludes my report from closed session. It's appropriate to continue with the open portion of the meeting at this time.
Thank you. And for the invocation, we have Reverend Yokiyama from Sozenji Buddhist Temple. Please rise for the invocation.
May the wisdom of the all-compassionate One so shine within our hearts and minds, that the mist of error and the foolish vanity of self may be dispelled. So shall we understand the changing nature of existence and reach spiritual peace. On this day of October 26, 2022, we surround all people, all forms of life, with infinite love and compassion. Particularly, do we send out our compassionate thoughts to the people of the city of Montebello, their loved ones, and to those in suffering and sorrow, and to all those in doubt and ignorance, and to all who are striving to attain the betterment of the society. Verse of loving kindness. May all beings be happy. May they be joyous and live in safety. All living beings, whether weak or strong, in high or middle or low realms of existence, small or great, visible or invisible, near or far, born or to be born, may all beings be happy. Let no one deceive another, nor despise any being in any state. Let none by anger or hatred wish harm to another. Even as a mother, at the risk of her life, watches over and protects her only child, so with a boundless mind should one cherish all living things, suffusing love over the entire world, above, below, all around, without limit. So let one cultivate an infinite goodwill toward the whole world. Standing, walking, sitting, lying down, during all one's waking hours, let one practice the way with gratitude, not holding to fixed views, endowed with insight, freed from sense appetites. One who achieves the way will be freed from the duality. May this humble merit of dedicating the verse, our presence, our time, good wishes and thoughts be extended to the people of the city of the Montebello, the loved ones, families, and friends, and to those who share their life with this community. May we together with them realize the way. Namakie Butsu, Namakie Ho, Namakie So. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. And we'll be recognizing you shortly. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Los Angeles Muay Thai champions are here. I know there's more of you. Come on, I know there's more of you. And we'll be recognizing them shortly also. They represented Montebello at the championship, so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. City Manager, are there any corrections to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, we have two corrections. Item 8 and 9 will be pulled from the agenda.
And I'll go down for the presentations and the ceremony. Will my colleagues join me for the presentations? So the Los Angeles Muay Thai, so that was the Los Angeles Muay Thai team you saw that just did the Pledge of Allegiance. They were the ones that represented the United States at the Open Tournament at Phoenix, Arizona. So if you can join me in congratulating D'Angelo Gianni. He won first place. Isid Flores won first place. Noah, Noah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher your last name. Nishad, thank you. Dominic Flores, Yahir Flores. Congratulations also to the coaches, David Huerta, Jorge Zarata, and Chris Cooley for leading our amazing athletes to victory. We want to wish you all best in your competition. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wait, where are you guys at? Mayor Pro Tem, will you help me? I said. Noah, thanks for helping me out. But see, look, I admit it though. I'm okay too. Dominic. Don't leave me out, okay, guys? Some of you guys are lying. This is pretty awesome.
I don't want to put these. This should just, do you mind if I zip it down a little?
Wait, am I missing one? Okay.
I don't do Muay Thai, but I do jujitsu.
Chris.
I do. I train with the Gracie. With Hiron and Henner. My daughters did too.
And she's
I could
passing
take you
out.
down.
This is what the,
You guys might just kick.
this is what the, I know, Roundhouse kicks, this is what the mayor wears. She's next in line. But, thank you guys.
I don't want to.
Can you move me a little bit forward? And then I'm gonna squeeze in right behind you guys. Great job. Oh, the coaches, oh, you got it?
Yeah, I got the
Oh, and then
coaches
one
here.
here, this is the extra, this is for the extra coach. Okay. here. Angie, right here. Right here. Or right here. I'm a little bit shorter, so. But I think, look at, watch this, Look at, see? We're the same height though. That's got heels. Why are you starting from the middle? Squeeze in there. There we go. Don't be shy. There you go.
One, two, in the center, everybody.
Awesome. Next year? All right. So you guys get to rest a little bit. Come by. Thanks, guys. Wait, what was that? My father was in the Navy. What? Gracie Initiative in San Diego. Oh, here, can we recognize you? Here, you guys say that. I'm a big military, I'm like the biggest military. He's gonna announce something really quick. You all know that I'm a big military. I recognize my veterans and active. Here you are, sir.
Yeah, through conversation just now, she mentioned that she trained with the Gracies in Jiu-Jitsu. My father, Winston Lee Andy Cully, is a naval officer. He was one of the first, actually, one of the first Guyanese American to train with the Gracie family, the Gracie Initiative. San Diego, California, 1986.
That's great. So thank you for that. So now on to Sozenji Buddha's temple. Reverend, if you can come back up, please. Yes, not just you. Thank you. So in recognition, come join me, please, either side. In recognition of Montebello Sozenji Buddhist Temple 50th anniversary, you look very good, the City of Montebello Council hereby confers this certificate of recognition to all those who have contributed to Sozenji Buddhist Temple since 1971 to not only be place the Buddhist worship, meditation, and learning, but also a community and culture center that anyone and everyone in Montebello community is welcome to enjoy. The Sozenji Buddhist Temple was founded in March of 1971 by Reverend Shuzi Korai. The kanji or Chinese character for Suzenji means Soto Sek Zen Temple. Suzenji is the first official independent Soto Zen temple to be established in the United States mainland. The current church building located in the city of Montebello on Beverly Boulevard was purchased in March of 1977, following an extensive restoration of the Hondu in temple officially opened its doors on November 2nd, 1978. This is October 26, 2022. So on behalf of the City Council, myself, the mayor, thank you, Councilmember Torres. Present to you the certificate of recognition. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. No, thank you very much.
Okay. Congratulations and thank you. Okay, for the bike master plan and bike rack inventory, Mr. City Manager, we present the staff that will be making the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We're going to have Joe Palumbi, Monica is going to present on the item, so you guys can come up. Thank you.
Can you hear me all right? So good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and the public. So this presentation will provide you a status update regarding the Bike Master Plan with the intent of obtaining your feedback and direction. So the slide before you provides a list of actions taken related to the Bike Master Plan. So in 2024, the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments received an active transportation program from the California Department of Transportation. So a total of 5 cities took part of this grant-funded program, which was utilized to conduct a greenway feasibility study and develop a long-term active transportation master plan for the San Gabriel Valley region. In November of 2018, the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, along with a consultant, conducted a study and provided a final document to all participating cities. On April 10, 2019, City Council approved a resolution adopting the Bicycle Master Plan as part of the Active Transportation Plan and Greenway Network Study. A copy of the resolution has been provided to the Council. So the slide before you provides a summary of the study, which assessed the feasibility of implementing greenways or active transportation corridors throughout the San Gabriel Valley. It also provided a high-level analysis of underutilized areas such as right-of-ways, flood control channels, and utility corridors, and how bike connections can be incorporated. The study also provided a high-level overview of existing conditions for all of the participating cities and outlined a number of improvements that can be considered, as well as a high-level cost assessment of the suggested improvements. So the study provided a long-term vision for the region and proposed some short and long-term projects that the city should consider. However, it being a master plan for the participating cities, the consultant did not get into the specifics of the design, the engineering, or the concepts of the specific locations that were identified in the master plan. So the slide before you kind of gives you an inventory of bike racks that were identified by the Parks and Recreation staff, which include the Youth Center, the Aquatic Center, and the Community Center. So a total of 3 bike racks were identified throughout the city for all city-owned facilities. So in this next slide, I wanted to kind of note the types of bike lanes that can be considered. So the slide before you identifies the types of bike lanes that can potentially be installed. However, there are some notable criteria that are considered, such as street width, speed, and average daily trips for existing roadways when considering where to install them. So the first 3 are unprotected bike lanes that are identified by designating striping, signage, markings, and Class 4 is considered a protected bike lane that is physically separated from the vehicular traffic. So for this next slide, I'm gonna have the Director James Enriquez speak related to the physical constraints related to bike lane installation.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. So in preparation for this presentation and reviewing the bike master plan that Monica talked about, we actually did go through and look at some of the recommendations on that very high-level document. And one of the things that I wanted to look at is the routes that were proposed in that master plan. Monica talked about Class 2 bike lanes, and those are the most common bike lanes that we're probably all very familiar with, that you see the stripe lane on the right side, either as you see in this cross-section depiction, right next to a parking lane or right next to the curb in the case where there's no parking, street parking. And one of the things we looked at is the feasibility of some of the routes that were shown on some of our boulevards. As we all know, those boulevards are designed to old highway standards, and they're very narrow and constrained, and that in fact is the case. So something that we'll need to take a closer look at as we move forward, and with whatever process the council decides to undertake to update a master plan and create a more focused master plan that's specific to our city. But just as an example, this is the typical cross-section that's needed for a Class 2 bike lane. And as you can see, typically you need about 86 to 92 feet between curb to curb if you're going to include parking on both sides, a Class 2 bike lane on both sides, and then most of our boulevards have at least 2 lanes in each direction, as well as a median, whether it's raised or striped for turning left turns. And just a quick review of some of the existing boulevards we have. Beverly Boulevard is 75 feet currently curb to curb. Whittier Boulevard is 65 feet curb to curb, 75 feet in some places where we've created cutouts for parking. Montebello Boulevard is one of the one that does meet or gets near that standard at 85 feet curb to curb. Greenwood is 60 and Garfield is 68. So it's something we'll definitely have to take a closer look at so that we can create a master plan that's realistic and can be implemented at some point in time. And obviously, if we're not going to widen the right-of-way to create more space for bike lanes, in a lot of cases, storefronts are literally right at the back of walk, as we all know, up and down Whittier Boulevard. The other option would be to reduce lanes, which could be problematic. So I just wanted to report on what's presented in that master plan, and something that we'll certainly have to take a look at as we move forward with a more focused master plan for the city of Montebello. Thank you. And I'll turn it back to Monica.
So based on what was presented today, staff is requesting that you receive and file the presentation regarding the bicycle master plan, direct staff to bring back a resolution amending the professional services agreement between city and Rangwala and Associates for additional funds related to the bike master plan, and establish a comprehensive bike master plan for the city of Montebello, which will be brought back to the city council for consideration. This concludes my presentation.
And Mayor, we're available for any questions the council may have.
Okay. Councilmember Peralta, do you have any questions?
Yes, can I just have an understanding as far as a timeline of if council moves forward with a bike master plan, kind of how that would look like in regards to that coming back to council, and then how it would look like to begin implementing something like the recommendations of the bike master plan?
So in terms of the implementation, obviously we would probably seek funds to implement some of the bike ways that are proposed. So in terms of timeline, right now, as we all know, we are updating our general plan. So it would basically be in conjunction with the general plan.
And do we have, and I don't know if this is a question for you, Mr. City Manager, do we have an understanding of when council would be able to have a complete general plan with kind of the scope of the Mike Master Plan included?
I think, you know, if you look at the general plan timeline, if the council directed us to implement this as part of the general plan, which we believe will come back to councils early next year, maybe February, and then once the general plan's approved, then it'll go into the CEQA process. So you're looking probably about 6 to 8 months after that. So you'll probably be looking at next fall.
So, okay, so next fall as far as a completion. And then with the if approved, to move forward with the bike master plan, that would also include just community outreach as far as
Absolutely.
opportunities to engage different groups within the community that would find this type of item useful.
Correct. So yeah,
Okay.
we would identify like stakeholders and obviously invite them, any bike coalitions that are out there, we'll go ahead and invite them as well so that we can get their feedback. There's also, I know sometimes they have grants where you can actually install, on a temporary basis to demonstrate what could become of a bike lane, and then we can use that as well as in terms of outreach.
Okay, and then just, I guess, understanding if it's possible in a more immediate form in regards to having bike racks implemented, like specifically for City Hall, and how that would look like. And I bring this up because, it's been interesting to see some of the San Gabriel Valley Cycling community biking group attending our meetings. And not being a cyclist myself, I never actually noticed that we didn't have bike lanes in the city. At City Hall until, we were told, hey, we're coming to your meetings and there's nowhere I can properly and safely store my bike. I think that's the importance of gauging different community groups and being able to understand sometimes things that tend to be oblivious to us. I think that's something that is important that I would like to see accommodate and not necessarily wait 6 to 8 months until we have a bike master plan. So to our city manager, how would that look like in regards to at least moving forward with having somewhere where our biking community could be able to store their bicycles if they do come and attend our meetings?
Well, with direction from the council, we could certainly look at looking at funding sources to be able to pay for racks here at City Hall. We have some ideas, maybe through transit. It depends on where we locate them, so we may be able to use some transit dollars. So working with transit to see how we can fund areas in coalition with where transportation corridors go through. But if directed, we can certainly bring that back to council at a future meeting.
And would that direction be included within today's potential approval, or is that something that would need to come back specifically in regards to just the bike racks?
The bike
at City
racks
Hall?
will be separate and apart from the second recommendation.
Okay, but not in, so I guess just understanding, I would just have to add that to my council rules, for example, to be able to move forward with that.
Yeah, or if tonight the council just consensus-wise says, hey, look at some ways of funding some bike racks and bring that back to us to see what that would look like, we could certainly do that.
Okay, at that moment, this concludes my comments, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez is out of the room. I'll go to Councilmember Torres.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much for the presentation. It's kind of difficult to provide comments right now because this is the first time that council has seen the presentation. And in relation to the bike master plan, it was a bit of a pretty general description, compared to the 35-page report that was done by the San Gabriel Valley COG. I have a copy here and just kind of looking through, seeing what the cost estimates are street by street. The kind of bike lanes that are suggested, it varies. And so I understand type 2 is the most common, and I understand in the diagram that was given the difficulties presented. I'm still not quite understanding specifically to the various suggestions in the plan, if there's anything that we can incorporate now. I've stated before that, this is something that council was very proud to pass back in 2019. 4 out of 5 of us were here when this was presented and approved. We had our opportunity to ask questions, and it was generally understood that this would be implemented to protect our riders. Just looking at some of the statistics that they gathered, of the collisions we're talking about, a citywide collision analysis in Montebello showed that 10% of collisions, the riders were killed and 15% severely injured, and minor injuries sustained in 7%. So, this is definitely something that I think my colleagues and I would like to see push forward. I appreciate getting a more detailed look in terms of what Montebello's general plan looks like, and hopefully, making sure that we keep this as a priority as we think about how our residents move within the city and have access to alternative modes of transportation. You know, someone that rode the bus, you know, and seeing that bike rack full all the time is definitely a way that our residents get around, you know, helping the environment. Generally, with gas prices what they are today, you know, much easier on the pocketbook. So I will. I understand the need to look more specifically, and so I just appreciate the presentation. And to echo Councilmember Peralta's comments, I think just getting a little bit clearer understanding in terms of our bike rack amenities and making sure that, you know, definitely our most trafficked public facilities and parks, that those are available.
And Councilmember, just a comment, as we've been embarking and repairing our roads and looking at rehabilitating a lot of our roads in Montebello and the big amount of work we've done over the last 2 years, we can certainly commit to the council that as staff, we'll start looking at every road repair and see where we can implement those types of features beforehand, so we're not doing it after the fact. So when we present projects to the council, we can tell you whether we can or can't, and we can add that to the budget if necessary. So we can certainly start looking at that as we develop plans for new projects as well.
Councilmember Torres, did you have any other comments or? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, do you want me to go back to you? Okay. Councilmember Melendez?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. As my colleagues have stated, I think it's something that we're all here in support of and that we support back in 2019, and always finding alternative ways of transportation. It's always something that we want to support. Now, what I find interesting too is I know our director, James Enriquez, talked about meeting the standard of the curb to curb. And I know kind of, I guess the question I want to pose is just, I mean, if the idea is to just go throughout the city and there's some high traffic areas like Whittier Boulevard and those areas are kind of narrow, like what would be some of the solutions, I guess, if we were to do it there, or maybe we don't do it at Whittier Boulevard, but just kind of like get a sense of what are some of the alternatives or possible solutions to some of those narrow streets that get such high traffic that maybe we do want to encourage.
And Councilmember, that's an excellent point, and hence why we're recommending that we add this to the general plan, because there really needs to be a Montebello-centric plan produced that not just looks at street widths, but corridors of how people move east, west, north, south, and also move within our transportation corridors, specifically if they're going to use a bus or they're going to, you know, bike to a bus stop. That's where we would look at how we move. And you're right, if there's a width problem, we're not going to acquire additional right-of-way. We just can't put one in, it'd be unsafe. So we'd have to look at other east-west corridors to see where we can implement movement with bikes.
If I may add to that, so the mapping that was done with that master plan, it also included what's commonly called a shared road route, and it was mostly on the residential roads, and that usually just involves signage and legends on the pavement, just reminding drivers that, hey, there's bikers that also use these roads, make them a little more alert to that. I think we still probably need to get that a little more focused, because the map that's in that master plan pretty much designated all residential streets as shared roads. And obviously it's quite expensive to go in and put signage throughout the entire city and legends. So we probably still would want to make that a little more focused.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez?
No, I'll just echo everyone's comment, but I think this is exciting for all of us again to see that finally there's enough stability here in our city that we're able to focus on moving projects like this forward and taking the steps to pushing things along. So thank you, James. Thank you, the rest of our staff.
Thank you for the presentation. So again, this is just a preliminary first look, just to get consensus from council to bring it back for a more thorough staff report.
Mayor, it's a receive and file item, so I think I think I get the gist of what we need to bring back, so I think we're clear as staff.
I'm pretty sure you have
Yep.
consensus.
Thank you.
On to public comments, non-agenda items. Mr.
Yes, at this time, Madam Mayor, members of the council, anyone who wishes to address the city council would have had to turn in a card to speak or have submitted their written comments prior to tonight's meeting. I understand we do have a number of both written comments and cards that have been turned in. So however you wish to address these, this is the time.
Let's go.
And I should note that each speaker has 3 minutes, and the first round of public comments will be for 30 minutes, and then any ones that are not addressed during that time will fall to the end of the agenda.
Go in person first.
Thank you, Mayor. The first,
I'm sorry, Christopher. And we're starting at 6:44.
okay. Thank you, Mayor. First speaker is going to be Levon Profetto, followed by Levon will be Margot Iser.
You know, me coming up here yakking about my neighbors making fentanyl might be doing a little good. The neighbors on my south parked their cars there about a week ago, and I haven't seen them since. The only time they ever did that was not more than 3 or 4 days, and that was till the cops clued him in that they can come back and work. And I really wanted to talk about all this. My trouble started 10 years ago, as far as I'm concerned. And that's when I was simply watering the lawn, and a black guy and a Mexican guy walked down the street and went between the house on the south, that side of the street, through the south end of the house on the south end, and the next house. And I thought, well, I didn't know you could do that. And about 3 days later, about 11 o'clock at night, I hear bang, bang. And I go, that wasn't firecrackers, that was a gun. And if you've ever hunted deer, sometimes you can tell when a bullet hits, and those sound like they hit. But I was about 10 or 15 feet from where I could see, so I walked out there and made the mistake of standing there about 15 minutes till I figured out where the shots probably come from. And I decided they came from the same place those two guys walked through. Well, I started watching, got Snoopy. About 3 days later, or 2 days, nice expensive 3-axle trailer, off-road trailer pulls up, parks right there. And I go, oh, huh. So I don't think they shot the black guy. I think they shot the Mexican, who was probably an illegal alien and good chance lived near Mines and Montebello Boulevard, because I think I'd seen him. And he's probably buried out in the Nevada desert because of that 3-wheel trailer. Anyway, after that, I'd leave the house, and I go, how the heck do they know when I'm leaving my house? Because I thought I was being followed several times. And anyway, I didn't dawn on me that I already had a camera probably watching me in the house. And so, make a long story short, I'm going to leave some of this out, but if somebody might know some of this, and if they want to bring it up, I'll sure hell talk about it. Anyway, let's see, I got to remember where I'm going with this. That's one of my faults nowadays. Anyway, I'll ad-lib next time. Oh, if you got a missing report, it's probably a Mexican guy 10 years ago. It's probably illegal alien.
Next speaker is Margot Iser, followed by Margot is going to be Delia Sandoval.
Good evening. I'm Margot Iser. I am a citizen, person, resident, taxpayer, and voter, and my address is on file. I'm here tonight to speak about certain items in the agenda and somewhat related issues. And I have a question beforehand. If someone could please explain what is the public, danger to public services and all that? I didn't quite understand why you had a special conference. I think I want to know what's endangered, but that's separate. I'm speaking tonight regarding mainly closed session items 2 and regular session items 8 and 9. And now that it has been revealed that 4 of you who are supposed to represent me and others of the city have gotten campaign donations from a Maverick Hospitality and Incorporated and Quiet Cannon. So I'm advising you that this is now would be a conflict of interest and inappropriate and actually immoral for you to vote on any matters involving these entities. And so therefore, I really respectfully request that you recuse yourself and refrain from voting on these or any other related items with a similar type of involvement of campaign donations, and that in the future, please, 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 make sure that before any decisions are made, that the public is involved in every single aspect of making such important decisions about various parts of our city, and have conversations and public hearings and listen to us and get a whole range of alternatives that could be feasible that we would want in our city, and that we would really be full of gratitude if you and expect that from you who are supposed to be our representatives. So I really just hope I'm making myself clear that we really, really need to be very careful to not let, I keep having to say it, for private profit corporations run our city, and maybe we look at what the people really, really, really need and want, and have us involved in every aspect. It is our city and our tax money and all that, and we want to be using that to make for the best benefit of all. Thank you.
Next speaker is Delia Sandoval, followed by Delia will be Bill Paliso.
Good evening. My name is Delia Sandoval, and I have been informed by several individuals that Angie Jimenez publicly posted a picture of me on social media and was inquiring about who I was. The picture she posted of me read in part, "These people are spreading false information. Have you seen her?" with an arrow pointing to my picture. She's added again, #disgusted. On October 27, as I pulled out of my driveway, a black SUV passed by, made a U-turn, and came back towards me. She stopped parallel to my car, rolled down the window, and aggressively started yelling, "What are you doing? Why are you passing misinformation about me, Ms. Sandoval?" I was startled and caught off guard. Then I recognized her. It was Ms. Jimenez. I responded, "I don't have time for this," and drove off. The flyers that I have passed out spoke of the following 4 issues about Ms. Jimenez. She voted in favor of bringing a trash transfer station to South Montebello. She voted to restrict freedom of speech by voting in favor of Ordinance 2443. She voted to give the city manager a $10,000 bonus. She is in favor of the Metro Light Rail trains on Washington Boulevard. Ms. Jimenez posted my picture on social media, saying that I was spreading false information. I request that she please provide proof that those specific issues that I mentioned above are false. To the other 4 city council members, I am sure that you do not go around stalking, harassing, exhibiting aggression, to your constituents. Thank you for your service, professionalism, and respect to those that you serve. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Bill Polizo, followed by Bill is going to be Vincent LaRocca.
I should note, the city clerk is reading names, and if people are applauding, you can't hear who's requested to come up next. So we would ask that you...
I am next, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bill Polizo, South Montebello. Tonight, I would like to speak about this city council's majority voting record and harassment of private citizens by Councilwoman Ms. Angie Jimenez. Fact. On August 10, 2022, this majority voted to give the city manager a $10,000 bonus. He has done a great job. Well, the state of California Auditor's Office is telling a totally different story. They say the city of Montebello is on the brink of financial distress. Our city manager's response was, and I quote, "The state is wrong with their addition." In the real business world, Mr. Bobadilla, you would be fired for that comment. I wish you had made that comment in front of the gentleman I work for from Kodak. You would have been fired on the spot. Fact, on September 14, 2022, this council majority voted to amend Montebello's municipal code to remove the finance director's obligation to give council members monthly and yearly financial statements. Interesting. Don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out why this was done. Fact, on October 14, 2022, this majority voted to use $5 million of COVID relief monies to fund the shortfalls of the Montebello Golf Course. Why is this a problem? They had already written and received a $15 million bond on this course, while local independent businesses and local residents struggle. But the city manager is doing a great job. So much so, he received a $10,000 bonus for making a $5 million mistake. This is the same man who accused the state auditor's office of being wrong in their addition. Addition is wrong? On August 5th, 2022, this council received a letter from the ACLU claiming that the council has violated the rights of people to enacting Ordinance 2443, City Council Procedures, provisions placing severe limitation on free speech rights. However, Ms. Jimenez replied that there's been nothing done by the ACLU. She also blamed, as usual, Councilman David Torres for causing the problem. Ms. Jimenez, the ACLU has been around way before any one of us here in this room. They have some of the most brilliant legal minds on their staff. You better hope you can prove the council does nothing wrong. And I think I'm going to listen to the ACLU's opinion over any elected official in this room. On February 24, 2021, Ms. Jimenez voted for a trash transfer station in South Montebello for NASA. Then on March 24, 2021, you voted to reject the transfer station. But before the vote closed, you changed your vote to abstain. Fact. This month, Ms. Jimenez came to my neighborhood and spoke to many of my neighbors. When they told her that I had informed them of your voting record, you had the gall to tell them I don't know what I'm talking about and what I'm lying, and I'm lying. Ms. Jimenez, I have no reason to lie to my neighbors or mislead them, but you do. I'm publicly asking you to stop attacking residents for exercising their constitutional right to speak about your voting record. Stop sending out people to attack citizens for speaking their
Sir, you're going to
mind.
need to wrap up your comments,
Stop
please.
attacking
You're
citizens
over your
for
3
standing
minutes.
up and hold their elected officials accountable for their record and asking hard questions. Ms. Jimenez and Council Majority, this is your record. There are no lies here. It's all a public record. Stand up and own it. Ms. Jimenez, you will never get my vote. Thank you.
Next speaker is Vincent LaRocca, followed by David Sandoval.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. So I just like to respond to the bicycle master plan presentation that was just given. Thank you, staff, for the work that you've done in your research and providing your insights. I just want to comment on that. making Montebello a more bike-friendly city will save lives and reduce injuries. And according to the California Office of Traffic Safety, in 2019, 16 pedestrians and 20 cyclists were killed or injured in Montebello. In 2018, 30 pedestrians and 13 cyclists were killed or injured. In 2017, 38 pedestrians and 20 cyclists were killed or injured. In total, over those 3 years, that was 137 people. That could have been my relatives, my family members, or your relatives or family members that bike or walk in our city. So we need to do something now. Our lives are on the line, and whether we implement safety traffic calming measures or bike lanes, we need to do something immediately. We can, as staff mentioned, we can install temporary barriers to make certain intersections safer where historically they've been dangerous. We can use capital improvement funds to install traffic safety measures when we repave streets, and also look at our most highly dangerous intersections and perform some actions immediately. For example, in temporary plastic or concrete jersey barriers at intersections with very high speeds. So let's just do our part to limit deaths or injuries by making our streets safer now. In addition to that, just the impact on our residents that are, according to the 2020 U.S. Census, 12% of Montebello residents were in poverty and at the poverty line. So this is unacceptable in terms of providing jobs for our residents. We should provide jobs and provide them the opportunity to get a living wage and be above the poverty line. But because of our culture is so car dependent, these people in poverty are relying on either public transit or getting around by walking or taking bikes. So these are the most impacted residents that are affected by these unsafe streets. So that could be another major reason for us to implement these measures as soon as possible. Not to mention the average gas price on the average everyday resident that are lucky enough to have cars and who can afford gas. They shouldn't have to be burdened by our car-dependent city that is requiring everyone to drive everywhere, no matter the distance where the grocery store is, where City Hall is, where the church is. We have to give other people opportunities to get around our city without depending on cars. Thank you.
Next speaker is David Sandoval. Followed by David Sandoval is Ana Jurado.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Sandoval. I'm a resident of Montebello and have no affiliation with any current council members or anyone currently running for office. Councilmember Angie Jimenez has taken to social media and posted pictures of constituents along with harassing them unannounced near their residence. A recent picture Ms. Jimenez posted on social media of a constituent read, "Have you seen her? These people are spreading false information." The 4 specific points that this constituent has been disseminating about Ms. Jimenez that she referred to as false information are: 1, she voted in favor of bringing a trash transfer station to South Montebello. 2, she voted to give the city manager a $10,000 bonus. 3, she's in favor of the Metro Rail on Washington Boulevard. And 4, she voted in favor of Ordinance 2443, which the ACLU flagged and sent a letter directed to this council on August 5th of this year, in which the ACLU stated, and I quote, "Ordinance 2443 contains provisions that are unconstitutional restrictions on free speech and weakens the public's ability to be informed." The letter goes on to state, this ordinance violates the First Amendment. I've emailed Ms. Jimenez asking for her to elaborate and provide evidence these 4 points are false information and have not received a response. Actually, these 4 points have public records to back them up. If anyone is interested, I can provide specific council meeting dates where these issues were discussed and voted on. If there's information that does in fact prove these points as false, I request that that information be provided to the public. Council members should focus on issues and address them directly instead of harassing constituents. I'm not here just to call out Ms. Jimenez, though. The other council members who voted in favor of Ordinance 2443 are Mayor Kimberly Cobos-Cawthorn and Councilmember Salvador Melendez. These two, along with Ms. Jimenez, voted in favor of violating our First Amendment right to free speech. There's never been a time in the history of civilizations where the freedom of speech and information has led to a free and fair society. In fact, the opposite is true. Many civilizations and countries that have restricted free speech and silenced the voice of the people have led to tyranny, corrupt governments, and lowered the quality of life for its working class. I call upon this council to rescind Ordinance 2443 in its entirety and focus on serving the public instead of trying to silence us. I'd like to thank Ms. Peralta, council members Ms. Peralta and Mr. Torres for voting against this ordinance and supporting our constitutional rights. I also call upon fellow residents to become more active and engage with this council and question them on all of their policy decisions and hold them accountable. Thank you, and God bless.
Next speaker is Ana Jurado. Followed by Ana is Rosa Tamayo.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, and everyone here. I'm here because I'm hearing so much negative. We can't go forward and be negative. I mean, not everybody can be without sin. Give me a break. You're just focusing on one and not the other. I've lived in Montebello since 1968. I've told my mom and dad, let's move to Montebello. It's the Beverly Hills of East LA. We came here, and since then, I have followed every newspaper and all that, from crooked to all the way to drugs to everything. Let's be positive. You know, I hear nothing but negative right now. Let's try to be positive. We have a good police department. We have a good fire department. We have a good council. We have everybody. I'm sure everybody up there has goodness in them. But if you focus on that, that's what it's going to be. You focus, you fall, shake it up, move up, and do better. We want Montebello to be better. Everybody comes up here, oh, this and that, and can do this again. Come on, give me a break. You know? You want to do better? Trust me, I've been here a long time. I was a teenager, but I've always followed the newspaper with Montebello. I've seen a lot of stuff. And the way it is right now, it's toxic. Everybody is, though. If you've got nothing good to say about it, and the one it hurts more is the voters. The voters don't have time to research and do this. The voters are taking care of their kids. The voters, you know, are thinking about the gas. The voters are how they're going to put food on the table. But they're going to listen to all this negativeness. Oh, okay, well, so-and-so said, give me a break. You know, somebody told me that I'm unfair to the voters, 63,000 citizens. Excuse me, I'm not. I'm positive. You know, I've done a lot of business transaction, and sure, I've fallen on my face, lost it, God stood up again. But all I hear is negative hits. Again, that's them, this one, and this one here. Give me a break. Montebello, everybody up here has got to have something positive. You focus on it, it'll go forward. You keep coming down here and knocking down and knocking down. I think we have a great fire department, police department, everything, you know? And, oh, you pay too much taxes. Well, excuse me. You want to live in Montebello? It's a nice area. You love your area. You know, that's it. You want to pay less? Well, go somewhere else then, I guess. You know, and I've seen my taxes go up. Like I said, my parents were here in '68. I bought 2 houses since then, and I can see it. But hey, I'm an American citizen. I pay my IRS, my federal tax. I pay what I have to pay, and I move on. You know, yes, I would love to not pay anything, but that's not the way it is. But all I'm hearing out there is that it's negative, negative, negative. All I say is, please, let's get some positive on everybody if we can. Let's get out of this. It's terrible. It is very terrible. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Rosa Tamayo.
Buenas noches. Yo soy Rosa Tamayo, honorable presidente Kimberly Cobos Cator y miembros del concilio.
Good evening, my name is Rosa Tamayo, and good evening, Honorable Mayor Kimberly Cobos Cawthorn.
Quiero decirles que por favor implementen el acta de Robert, porque así vamos a ser más eficientes y más, para modificar los negocios y para que así sea más productiva los meetings.
I ask that the council implement Robert's rules to make things more efficient and to have it work better for businesses.
Y quiero decirles esta noche que estoy muy orgullosa de cada uno de ustedes, de esta administración que ha logrado lo que administraciones pasadas, yo aquí vivo desde 1991 y me moví a esta ciudad porque la estudié y me dio buenos resultados. Porque
So I just want to say I'm proud of every single one of you and the work that you've done and the administration. And I've seen other administrations. I moved here in 1991. I did a lot of study in this area, and I moved here.
Y en este periodo que ustedes han estado sentados aquí para administrar bien la ciudad, lo han hecho muy bien. Yo soy una persona que ustedes no saben, pero también los fiscalizo.
I just want to say, in the period that you've been sitting in your seats, you have done a very good job, and I've been watching.
Y yo vengo de familias que mis dos hermanas son fiscales federales especiales en México y ellos me enseñan cómo fiscalizar.
I just want to say I come from a family of 2 district attorneys in Mexico, and they know how to administer governments.
Y una de ellas hace negocios en Sacramento para embarcar los productos por los buques y viene y hace negociaciones con Alex Padilla.
One of my sisters, one of the district attorneys from Mexico, does business with Sacramento and helps products move through our harbors.
Y ahora yo, como hice una ley que se llama Rosas Law, la hice por mi hijo, por los veteranos, para personas con discapacidades. Yo estoy mirando que no se han implementado las transiciones que se necesitan para los negocios, los trabajos de las personas con necesidades especiales y los veteranos. Porque para eso la hice, para beneficio de workability.
So I'm proud of a law that I helped pass. It's called Rosa's Law. And I did it for my son who has disabilities. And I haven't seen an implementation for businesses in transition.
Y si me estaba escuchando el Distrito de Educación, vale más que empiecen a hacer las transiciones, porque esta ley es de derechos civiles.
And if the school district is listening, I hope that they implement this transition at the school district level because this program should be implemented.
Y me da mucho gusto que vengan negocios para así tener las puertas abiertas para personas con discapacidades y personas veteranos.
And I'm happy to see businesses who come in and implement these disabilities for workers and also for veterans.
Y estas son transiciones
And these are
pagadas por
transitions.
workability en la habilidad y en la posibilidad de hacer el trabajo.
So these are transitions that are paid by the workability for this purpose.
Y muchas gracias y espero que sigan haciendo muy buen negocio.
And thank you very much, and I hope that you continue doing
Gracias
good work.
usted como manejador de la ciudad, señor René Bobadilla, y su administración que han hecho muy buen trabajo.
And thank you to the team for doing such a great job.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you to the team.
Sorry. Next speaker is Rosemary Torres. I don't think she's in the audience. She? Okay, Rosemary Torres, and then followed by Rosemary Torres will be Jesse Garcia.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, Angie, David, Sal, and Scarlett, City Attorney Arnold Glassman, and city staff. I did not make it in time to speak last meeting, but I made it today. Thank you. First, congratulations to Mr. Salarza and his staff. Is he here? What? Well, then forget it.
We
He
gave him,
doesn't
we
get
gave
a
him,
thank
we
you.
allowed him to go on vacation.
He does not get a thank you from me. Okay? So I'll go down and he did a good job and he got those awards, 3 years in a row? I have a niece and nephew that work in Irvine and Mission Viejo, and they were telling me that they've been watching the city of Montebello doing such a great job. So when Mr. Poliso came up and said what a terrible job the city's been doing, my heart was broken. But Bill and I will agree to disagree, right? Correct. Thank you. We're still friends. Always. Yes. I could say that because my husband's not here. He refused to come with me tonight, and that's what he gets. Okay? So we're going to lighten it a little, but thank you, all of you. I appreciate what you've done. Okay, let's see. Okay, I have my notes. Because the city of Montebello, they've been watching you for a while, Irvine and Mission Viejo. Okay. And I felt very proud that when they would say, oh, my aunt and uncle, they live in Montebello, and they would talk about us. So, Mr. Bobadilla and Mr. Salarza, you made the city look good. Thank you. Okay? And please know that I'm very proud to be a part of this city. And on behalf of my residents and neighbors, thank you. Now I am hearing the rumors of our city is a fraudulent one. Whoever is putting this out, I'm nervous. Can it be true? I need to hear something positive like Ms. Jurado said. Let's be positive. But, things have to go sour sometimes. But I'm hoping that it isn't true, because this is where I live. I'm leaving my son here to you guys. It's going to make his home here too, I think. But whatever. Also, the battle over campaign signs. Oh my goodness. This is ridiculous. This is like childlike stuff. I'm going to take it from you and you put mine up, or mine is away, you put this one. I've gotten calls from friends that they've harassed her 3 times to take the sign down. She finally had it. She had just retired and she's trying to clean her house, and they keep ringing her doorbell. It's on ring. She doesn't even open the door. She talks through ring. So she said, finally, I'm taking the sign down, okay? Stop bothering me. But that doesn't mean that she's not going to vote for the candidate that she wants. She just won't put the sign up. And then I have another friend who is deaf and dumb. So we text, and they've been harassing her too. She says, I don't know what to do. I said, don't answer the door. She says, but they're taking my sign. I said, let them, it's okay. And I said, if they come and ring your doorbell, then you text me, I'll call the police for you. And she's fine now too. They haven't bothered her anymore since she took the sign down. Lastly, good luck to all. And when you become council members, you know, I get another 3 minutes from last council meeting, okay? Okay? Is that okay, Chris?
If you could just please wrap up your last
I am going to
your
wrap
last
it up.
comments.
See, I just have this little bit left.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Lastly, good luck to all. And when you become council members, I hope you do what is right for our city. And thank you for your time. See? Done.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Next speaker is Jesse Garcia, followed by Jesse will be Brisa Sotelo Vargas.
And Mayor, we have hit our 30-minute initial timeline. How many more cards do we have?
How many more cards we have?
Just two speakers. It was Jesse Garcia and Brisa Sotelo Vargas.
Were there the...
Good evening, Mayor Cobos, esteemed council members. I'm here on behalf of the residents of Tola Street. We submitted a preferential parking permit on June 3rd of this year. We've been trying to find out, I've been trying to find out, what is the process to get that approved? I can't get a straight answer from anybody. That it has to go to engineering, it has to go here, it has to go there. First question, well, we don't do that on thorough streets. I told them it's not a thorough street, it's a cul-de-sac. Oh, that's different. Well, then it'll have to go here, have to go there. All we've managed to get is a sign that says residents only, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 p.m. What does that mean? Residents can only park there 8 to 6, non-residents can? That sign has no teeth, it's not enforceable. I can't call PD to come over and take somebody away because they park their cars there on Fridays and pick it up until Monday, maybe Tuesday. Well, probably not Tuesday, Mondays because the street sweeper goes by. But if it's a holiday, no street sweeper, it stays there till the following. And the reason this happens is because we had this complex that was built that council, not this specific council, were bamboozled. They were supposed to sell those units. At the end of the day, they're leasing them. They come over and park in our area. Those who live on that street, you can count more cars there now than residents. I park my cars in the driveway, and it's full in the front. And I'm all the way at the end of the cul-de-sac. I just wish I knew what we can do to get this process in the right place. Last I called and I checked, it was in someone's inbox. I don't know. It hasn't progressed since the day I submitted it. I've had 2 council members inquire. They sent me emails. They haven't gotten any response either, so I don't know what's going on. This city is not that big for a piece of little paper like that. It's not like I submitted it to downtown LA. By my estimates, and based on the kind of work I do, that should have taken no more than 90 days to take care of, either a yay or a nay, because I know it's going to have to come here to council to get approved. And there's already precedents in the city. They've already approved some. So I don't know what the hangup is. We all paid our money. It's income revenue for the city because they can come over and ticket anybody who doesn't live on that block. And if they take them away, well, the tow companies will make some money. So I just wish I know who I can turn to, who can make this happen for a small little piece of paper. And it wasn't free. We all had to pay. So I just don't get it. I mean, if it's a no, then okay, great. We'll take it somewhere else. But at least get a response of why can't we get this done? Thank you.
Director Enriquez is right in the back. He's going to speak to you outside.
Final speaker is Brisa Sotelo Vargas.
Good evening, council members. My name is Brisa Sotelo Vargas. I'm a resident of South Montebello, and I want to thank you for giving me the time and also for listening tonight. I see that you're looking at me. Thank you. I'm here to support Delia Sandoval, which is my neighbor. I live at 1233 South Montebello, And I really hesitated to come here because a lot of you on here are my friends. I consider you my friends. I can talk to you, I can call you, I can text you, and sometimes we disagree. And I can tell you that to your face, that I definitely disagree with your points. But I am respectful, and that's why I'm here today. I know that a lot of you are going to be upset at what I'm going to say, but quite frankly, I have a neighbor also. I have a neighbor that's going to be supporting me when I have to take my child at night to the doctors and nobody's there to watch my other children. I have a neighbor that's going to be looking at my home if it's being broken into. I have a neighbor that's going to be watching if my catalytic converter gets stolen, which happened to her not long ago after somebody was sent to her house to yell at her regarding a campaign. That is not okay. Let's be respectful of each other. We all need to respect each other. I'm going to see you at the supermarket. I'm going to see you at Polly Pie's. I'm going to see you at a coffee shop. I'm going to talk to you about Metro. I'm going to talk to you about our friendship. I'm going to talk to you about a running club. And I'm going to see you walking your dogs at the park with your husband. So I'm going to ask you again, be respectful. That is something that we have lost in Montebello. So I really ask you to please be respectful of each other. I think there could be other methods that we can talk to each other. You can knock on somebody's door and say, hey, I really want to talk to you about what you're doing. I want to understand, why you're doing this. But I have to also respect my neighbor. Maybe she and I don't align on everything. I do support, what we're doing with the Montebello Golf. I actually support all of you on that. And I would ask you that if you did anything or had any sort of dealings with that, make sure we still have 18 holes and that we still get golf links. Yeah, there might be some people here that don't agree with me. And that's okay. But that's my opinion. So that's why I'm here to support my neighbor. We may not agree on everything, though I think we do. And I'm going to ask you that if you have an issue with any of your neighbors, with any of your constituents, especially your constituency, you're here as elected members. You are here to listen, not to harass, not to silence, but to listen. You may not take the vote, but you did take that oath to listen. So I'm going to ask you to please be respectful, and I'm here to support Delia.
Madam Mayor, that does conclude all of our speaker cards. We do have a handful of written comments. How would you like us to proceed with that? Our 30 minutes did elapse already.
We'll proceed to read them.
Okay. And before we begin, Mayor, I do want to make a comment. There was a written comment that was turned in past the deadline. Would you like me to include in the comments as well?
Did council receive those?
I'm sorry?
Did council receive those?
No, there's no copy for the council yet.
If any written comment came in too late, I would suggest, Mayor, we don't read them. We can put those in the record. There is a protocol that's alerted to everyone, both on our website and on our agenda. And so any card that's turned in late, any communication that's turned in late, I would suggest we just put that in the record.
Understood. Okay, so I'll go ahead and begin. First comment. Montebello leadership, I am submitting this comment to ask you for inclusion of a rent control measure initiative on your 5-year plan. I am a current resident and I went to MHS. I'm happy to see many changes to attract outside customers. However, I am afraid that the projects funded by current residents will be enjoyed by new residents who can afford paying rents. In the future, I don't know if I'll be able to afford living here or will lose my housing. Moreover, the current line items in your plan look like a temporary solution rather than long-term. What happens when the funds are depleted? To protect current residents who love the city, please create an initiative for rent control. I hope this falls under the allowed items for this type of funding. If not, maybe it's something to further discuss in other meetings. Also, please share the email address to submit comments in your social media posts. Thank you, Montebello resident. Next comment is from Robert Heredia. To City of Montebello, my name is Robert Heredia. I am new to Montebello. I'm writing you due to my great concern about voter integrity. We're having an issue across the nation with the ballot harvesters. I spoke with a kind woman at the Montebello City Clerk office, and she stated that our ballot drop boxes do not have stand-in security workers or CCTV cameras. No security opens our city to ballot harvesters. Currently, there are 4 open investigations regarding this very issue across the nation. What is the City of Montebello doing to ensure this kind of thing isn't happening in our town? To make matters worse, LA County District Attorney George Cascon is investigating a case where CEO of a voting software company called Konesh was arrested in Michigan for anchoring poll workers' data, Dropbox GPS locations, and access to the voting system on a server in China. This company contracted with several counties across the United States. Sadly, LA County is one of these counties that has this kind of relationship, hence why LA DA George Cascon is now involved. To make matters even worse, CEO of Konesh, Eugene Yu, has contracted with private contractors in China, giving them full administrative access to our voting systems. This is a matter of national security at this point. Outvoting turnouts are being manipulated. What is the City of Montebello doing to contribute to the end of voter fraud? I'd appreciate your professional and kind reply. My suggestion is that we install cameras by the drop boxes. During early voting and up to the final day before elections, we film. Also, we could ask for volunteers from the community of Montebello to stand and guard the drop boxes to deter ballot harvesters. I also suggest that the City of Montebello publishes the causes for a felony regarding the subject on the website, homepage in bold red fonts. This way, should any individual thinking to commit this kind of fraud will think twice. I also suggest sending a mailer to all Montebello residents, maybe a postcard showing the rules for voting and mail-in ballot voting, which could also include the causes for arrest and a felony plus fine. I also suggest bringing in the Sheriff's Department and organizing a relationship with them on this to ensure the safety of all the city workers and residents of Montebello during these times of greatest concern and questions regarding our elections. Voter integrity is everyone's problem. Our public officials representatives are elected by the people, not by non-government organizations. Thank you for reading my email. I look forward to your reply. Robert Heredia. Next comment is from Jay Huffins. Since I'm a resident of Montebello, I have a concern as to why our city manager would want to extend the management of our city-owned hotels at the Quiet Canyon for an agreement of 30 longer years. What is the reasoning behind this thinking? This cannot be good for our city. Why not negotiate for a shorter time period or let other operators provide bids and perhaps at a lower cost for a shorter time? Another point I would like to voice is the legal agreement document should be presented to all interested residents. Shouldn't these docs be attached to the council agenda packet? The council needs to be transparent in every move they make for the city of Montebello. Resident needs to know what our elected officials are voting on for Montebello. As a resident, I will be watching, as will my fellow neighbors. Thank you, Jay Huffins. Next comment is from Veronica Rodriguez Cabrera. Hello, Mayor, council members, staff, and community members. I'm writing in support of the permanent local housing allocation. Thank you to our leaders and staff for your attention to this need in our community. I am a lifetime resident of Montebello, licensed clinical social worker, and community housing expert. I would like to ask that you consider bringing community out with more creative ways than just a public hearing identified on this draft. Maybe Montebello can host a housing resource fair where community can get information on this PLHA and resources in Montebello and neighboring communities. I also highly encourage and request you all to include an oversight committee where you can invite community stakeholders such as residents to be involved in the process. I hope you all consider the importance of community oversight and accountability in our work for equity in our community. Thank you for your time. Veronica Rodriguez Cabrera. Next comment is from Randy Rodriguez. The City of Montebello should not extend the hotel management agreement with Quiet Canyon Management for city-owned hotels for 30 years. This isn't a good financial legal decision. The city should negotiate for a shorter term or go with another operator. Plus, the legal agreements weren't attached to the council agenda packet. The public should be able to see these documents before council votes on this long-term agreement. Randy Rodriguez, MTB resident, 30 years. Next comment is from Yvette Fimbres. Good evening, council members. I write this email in my personal capacity as a constituent and First Amendment right. This evening, the city manager has placed on the agenda item 8 to extend the current hotel management agreements between the QCM affiliated parties and the city for a period of 30 years. How come the contract was not posted for us residents to review and provide input? I believe it to be foolish to award and extend anyone a contract for 30 years. The contract is not due to expire until 2032-2033. Why is there a need to place on tonight's agenda to extend the contract for another 30 years? What has been the financial performance of the hotel since 2017? Why is the city not placing this contract for bid? Why are we paying $1.3 million a year to manage the hotels that make the city no money? The residents of Montebello want answers. We want to transparency. Bottom line, that item proposal is, tonight we will be all watching to hear the votes made on this item. I encourage you all to vote no. Thank you. Next comment is from Alex Najapa. Honorable Mayor and City Council members, tonight you will decide whether to approve 3 digital display signs within the city. The agenda suggests that the signs fully comply with MMC 17.62.105 requirements, but they do not. The agenda fails to mention that digital signs must be located with the digital display signs corridors. The sign corridors is defined as within 200 feet of the I-5 freeway and 600 feet of the 60 freeway. Also, digital signs are not permitted within 200 feet of residential zone property. None of the digital signs in this agenda are located within the freeway corridor. One of the signs is next to a residential zone to the west, north, and south. The agenda misdirects the council by ignoring the code and veering off into general plan goals and the $50,000 the city will receive in annual revenues, both of which have nothing to do with the freeway corridor requirement. The ordinance is misleading in that it asks council to determine that these non-compliant digital signs are in the best interest of the residents. Then buried in the ordinance is a misuse of the city's police powers. Police powers are described by the Institute for Local Government are used for the protection of public health, safety, or welfare. The ordinance says adopting these agreements requires the exercise of the city's police powers. Here, the police power is not for the protection of public health, safety, or welfare, but to ignore and override city law regarding the freeway corridor requirement. The Planning Commission likely did not know of these requirements, as well as may have recommended their approval under false precedents. In summary, this agenda fails the public trust in 2 ways. First, it fails to inform the council that signs must be within the freeway corridor in order to be approved. Second, buried in the ordinance, it asks council to exercise the city's police power as a mechanism to override city law and approve the agreements. There were so many opportunities in this process for staff to be forthcoming. The council is responsible to be a steward of the public trust. The council should not resort to police powers to violate city law. Upholding the city's laws, the public interest, and the public trust is worth more than $50,000 a year. Signed, A. Najapa. Next comment is from Caltrans District 7. Caltrans has 2 upcoming events that we would like to share with you and your constituents. Please share the attached flyers on your website to promote the following. And then I'll read over the events that they have sent over. One of them is the Clean California Local Grant Program first workshop on Cycle 2. This workshop number 1 will be held on November 3rd, 2022 from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. If anyone has any questions on this event, they can email cleanca.localgrant@dot.ca.gov. And the other event is a hiring event, medical, dental, vision, paid sick leave, and retirement benefits. This is an in-person career event happening on November 9, 2022, District 7, 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., Caltrans Plaza, 100 South Main Street in Los Angeles, California, 90012. And Madam Mayor, that concludes all written comments.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, are there any staff communications on community interest?
Yes, Mayor. We're going to have Parks and Rec Director David Sosnowski give us an update of some community interest events that are taking place in the next several weeks.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. Just some quick announcements for the community to know what's going on with the Parks, Rec, and city events. So I've been coming up the last couple council meetings to let folks know about our certified organic farmers market that takes place on Thursday nights on the southeast corner of Montebello and Whittier Boulevard, which is behind the Wells Fargo lot. Tomorrow night's the last time of the season that you could come out and enjoy that certified organic market, so come join us before we close down until the spring season of 23. Next, this week we're all celebrating our Halloween festivities at Grant Ray Park. We have a 2-night event, just like we did in the past at the golf course. This year is at Grant Ray Park. We're having the Haunted Train Ride on Friday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. Saturday, having the same train ride from 6 to 9 p.m., but also a community event to have kids join in activities, games, costume contests, and lots of raffles and prizes on Saturday at Grant Ray Park. So both of the train rides are actually full to capacity. They did require pre-registration. There's limited walk-in available, so if you're trying to go and get it registered, expect a little bit of a wait for the Haunted Train Ride around Grant Ray Park. Concurrently, we're celebrating Dia de los Muertos. Folks can come out and bring a photo of a loved one that passed away. At Henry Acuna Park, we have a public altar display located right off of Victoria Avenue. We have several folks that already dropped off their photos. That display is available and open to the public from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from now through November 2nd. So we invite folks to bring copies of photos. After the 2nd, we will clean that up. We will try to have folks pick up their photos on that evening of November 2nd. So make sure you grab your photos before it's cleaned up. And lastly, just to save the dates for the community to come join us to celebrate our veterans on Veterans Day at Montebello City Park, 11 a.m. on November 11th, Friday, November 11th. There'll be a free breakfast for the veterans again prior to the event from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Senior Center. And my last announcement, just again, save the date for the community. Saturday, December 3rd is our holiday tree lighting event in front of Montebello City Hall on the front steps from 3 to 9 p.m. This event includes our arts and crafts, activities for kids, live bands and performances, the tree lighting at 7, and also our snow activities, snow slides, and activities for kids, holiday theme. So just want to invite the community out to all of our great events and hope to see you all out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sosnowski. Our first item, item number 6, is a public hearing. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Item number 6 is the consideration of first reading and introduction of ordinances numbers 2454, 2455, 2456, approving development agreements between the City of Montebello and Clear Channel Outdoor for the properties located at 1720 South Bluff, 1633 Washington Boulevard, and 1915 West Whittier Boulevard. Mr. Palumbi is present to provide a staff report.
Director Palumbi.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor, and members of the City Council. Thank you. Could I get the slide up, please? Let's see. Is it up on? Is it? Okay. There we go. Item 6 on tonight's agenda is a request from Clear Channel Outdoor for approval of 3 separate development agreements referred to as development agreement numbers 0222, 0322, and 0422. Pursuant to Montebello Municipal Code Section 1762-105B, C2, the proposed relocation in place of the existing outdoor advertising signs and the replacement with new digital signs is allowed through the approval of a development agreement by the City Council. The action before you today will allow the relocation in place of 5 existing dual-faced static outdoor advertising signs with 5 new digital outdoor advertising signs. In addition to incorporating modern technology, it is important to note that the signs are identical in size to the existing signs, which total approximately 300 square feet. And that's per sign face. As a result, there will be no need for any structural changes or changes to the existing poles. As noted in this slide, all of these subject properties are located along surface streets within established commercial and manufacturing zones. So these next few slides are intended to show the locations where the signage would be replaced. This slide here shows the, I believe it's the west-facing sign located at 1720 Bluff Road. And this would be the east-facing sign. This is the west-facing Washington sign. East-facing Washington. So these are, the last two were both dual-faced. And this one here is Whittier Boulevard. Wait a minute. Yeah, this is east-facing Whittier Boulevard. So there is currently a one dual-face sign at 1915 Whittier Boulevard, but due to visibility constraints from the west, Clear Channel has only requested to replace the east-facing sign. So that's why there's 3 sign poles with dual-face signs, but there's only 5 signs that are actually being replaced. So here's an overview of the public benefits associated with the development agreements. Each development agreement would carry a 20-year term commencing when the digital sign becomes operational. The public benefits will include, among other things, new sources of general fund revenue. As shown here, there will be a one-time development agreement signing bonus totaling $100,000, and that would be used to replace the existing sign that's here on site at City Hall, right along Beverly Boulevard. In addition, there will be an annual development fee totaling $50,000, and that would be an ongoing fee that would be going to the city's general fund. The development agreements will also allow the city to use these new digital signs for advertising, public service announcements, and city-related public messaging. The new signs will have a remote access capability to allow changes in messaging, as well as adjustments to lighting. And this can be done, remotely, which will actually reduce traffic trips to and from the sign location. Now what's there, they're basically poster panels that have to be manually taken down and put back up. In addition, there's also a one-to-one takedown program that's intended to remove blighted signage within the city through the removal of 5 existing static sign faces, which are located on other properties. And these properties are at 8105 Slauson Avenue, 249 East Beverly Boulevard, and 303 West Whittier Boulevard. So on October 18th, the Planning Commission held a duly noticed public hearing and approved the resolutions 1022, 1122, and 1222, recommending City Council approval of the development agreements that are before you today. So this concludes my presentation, and staff is available for any questions. Clear Channel, our representatives from Clear Channel are also in the audience and available for any technical questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Palumbi.
If there are no questions of the director, then it would be appropriate to have the mayor open the public hearing for purposes of initially receiving any comments or testimony from the applicant. Then it would be appropriate for anyone who is in support of the applications. After that concludes, anyone who wishes to speak in opposition would have that opportunity, and then after that is concluded, the applicant would then be able to give some rebuttal if they wish to do so. I should also note that one of the written comments was addressing this issue. We will put that into the record of this public hearing. So if there's any questions, Madam Mayor? And hearing none, then if the applicant is present and would like to address the council,
Mr. Glassman, I do have a question.
Councilmember Torres?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just wondering if staff could respond to the comment that was submitted.
Yes, so if I may, so the comment that was submitted is we looked at the code, we worked with the city attorney's office, and the section that we're relying on actually does allow relocation in place of outdoor advertising signs with digital signage. It does not specifically prohibit any, outside the corridor, if you will. And remember, these are relocations in place. These are not these are not new signs. With regard to the comment on the residential component about being within 200 feet of residence, we did do a measurement, and we do have information, and this would only relate to the Whittier sign, and it is outside the 200 feet from the actual sign itself.
And one sec, my laptop lost internet here. And I guess just to start with my comments, as I read the way that the ordinance was written, I guess I'd have to understand a map because I was able to go down there before the meeting and kind of see that a lighted sign would be in the direct line of sight of several residences, and from probably a more rough Google estimate using their distance finding tool, there were several residents that were within 200 feet, but I think the municipal code speaks to properties that are zoned residential. So not just whether a residence is there, but residentially zoned property. Also, just for council's consideration, with these lighted signs, we're talking about the effects of light pollution on, residences where people are sleeping, where people are eating, where people are relaxing in the evenings. I feel that kind of trying to understand the comment that was submitted, and that's why I kind of wanted to see the ordinance, because even in talking about relocations, it seemed that it would apply to all digital signs, being within that digital sign corridor. But even being willing to look past that and just for the sake of it, moving this along, I would find that at least that one sign on Whittier Boulevard, very near residences, near the senior villas, near the residences on, I believe it's around 18th Street or 20th Street. That would be affected. Even as I was out there, taking a look, a resident came out of their home, and I started saying, they were wondering, what I was doing hanging out on, just outside their front lawn. And so I started to explain, and, they did have some concerns. So if you could, I guess just, again, being concerned that the ordinance does speak to residences and residential properties.
Yeah, and if I may, and I like the spirit of your question, and the new digital signage that's being proposed is 0.3 foot candles. I think the floodlights that are there today are probably more intense than the signage that will be going up. And again, as I mentioned in the presentation, the beauty of it is that if there are any issues, they can be dimmed, and I think they dim automatically. So for example, there's a different, and maybe if clear time will come, but there's a different tone or illumination during the day, and then at night it automatically dims the lights, and that's all done remotely, as opposed to now you're stuck with what's there, which is a floodlight.
Yeah, the technology of these sands are far more advanced than what they were 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yes.
So they have advanced technology.
Madam Mayor, we can continue. I just got my internet back, and I don't want to waste time looking up the points, but if we can just check back later.
Okay. Can I hear from the operator for the dimming?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Lane Lawson. I'm the Vice President of Public Affairs for Clear Channel Outdoor in California. We are excited to bring this proposal to the city. We look forward to working with you. The staff has been great to work with. Here to answer any questions. One of the questions was about the illumination. Joseph's right. It's 0.3 foot candles over ambient light. We have a great measuring device that are on these units. They're an external device that measures the external lighting, and it's set to be 0.3 foot candles. And if there's any issues or anything like that, we can come out and dim it down even further. Right now, there's a spotlight that's on those boards, so this is more of a directional lighting than the spillage that's out there currently, and it can be controlled. Each ad is up there for only 8 seconds at a time, so it's not a motion full motion ad. It's a static ad that just changes once every 8 seconds. Happy to answer any other questions you have. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to address the project in support of the project? Madam Mayor, the record should reflect that no one is stepping forward. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council in opposition to the project? All right, consider that
Okay.
open. So, the record should also reflect that no one has stepped forward. With that, it would be appropriate to close the public hearing. We'll enter into the record the written response, and then it will come up to the council level for questions or comments.
Okay. I'll go down.
When we close public hearing.
Okay. Councilmember Peralta, questions, comments? Oh, we'll close the public hearing. Okay, now we'll go down. Councilmember Peralta?
Just general comments in that, you know, this is something that is very innovative and a way of bringing extra revenue to the city, as well as being able to just display upcoming events and information, reaching our community that in ways that, you know, social media, digital, print might not. And so that's one aspect that I do like. In regards to the one specific sign that is near a residential area, just kind of somewhat wary, you know, as far as just how homeowners would feel. I do understand that there is mechanisms of dimming those lights. And so that's, you know, something that I think makes it more palatable. But at the same time, just being able to, I guess, not anger folks in certain areas where they live with these types of digital ads, I think is important to keep in mind. But other than that, that just concludes my comments, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez? Okay. Councilmember Torres?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I was able to find the code here. So it's Montebello Municipal Code, Section 1762-105, Part B. And to Mr. Palumbi's comment, it does mention here the construction of a new off-premises digital display sign or the relocation of an off-premises sign shall be permitted only within the Interstate 5 Freeway Digital Display Sign Corridor or the California State Route 60 Freeway Digital Display Sign Corridor. So, Mr. Palumbi, one more time, if you can just provide a little bit of clarification. The municipal code does speak to the relocation of digital signs in regard specifically to the corridor.
Absolutely, Councilmember. So if you go to the intent of the code section, which is right under 1762-105A, you'll see there where it says to allow for the incorporation of modern technology into relocated displays and limited new displays. So then if you go down to section C, which is development agreement required, and then section 2, it says relocation of off-premises signs. The relocation of an off-premises sign and its replacement with a new off-premises digital display sign is allowed only upon approval of a development agreement by the city council. So we're relying on that section, and the way we interpret it is that this is allowed for a relocation in place, which is why that's the way it's described in their staff report.
Thank you. And that does provide the clarification that I was looking for. And I guess I did have just one last question for the applicant. If you could just speak to, again, to give us some comfort here, maybe a percentage of signs or other projects that you have that are in this kind of proximity to residences, to apartments, and to single-family homes?
Well, I mean, you know, our company's been around for over 100 years. We started out as Foster and Kleiser, Eller Media, then Patrick Media, and now Clear Channel. So we've had these signs in the areas around these streets for a long time. There weren't residents there when they were originally built, and so they built up kind of around the signs. We work really well with when anybody calls with any concerns, even with our existing signage. If there's any concerns with the residents, we really work with them to resolve any issues. We find that these new digital signs are really advantageous for the cities and for the constituents because it's more of a directional lighting. As of right now, the light spills everywhere, right? So the lighting that is going to be going up there now will be directed towards the street where we want it. It's not directed, it's kind of like a flat screen TV. When you're off to the side, it disappears, right? And we will make this commitment to work with the city and any complaints that we get for that sign, and we can work with you on that. But what happens is even if there's, let's say it's a rainy day or a foggy day or something like that, it will dim down, so it won't be overly bright. I know that there's some kind of concerns when you drive down the freeway and you see some of these really bright signs. That's not these. These have that sensor on the outside, so it automatically dims down. So if for some reason, even if there's an eclipse, it would dim down automatically. It doesn't take over an hour to dim down. It dims down right away. So and like I said, we're committed to work with the city.
Thank you very much. And as a final question, and this could be either for the applicant or for Mr. City Manager, in agreeing to this development agreement, are we locked into the 5-year term automatically, or if any time along the way, there is an issue found, is there any kind of exit?
It's a 20-year exit.
I apologize, 20 years? Yeah. Okay. And Madam Mayor, that concludes my questions and comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Melendez?
No comments.
Okay. Thank you, Director Palumbi, for the presentation. What I did like that I read was the emergency notifications in the presentation, and also promoting of jobs in the city. So, and that it was a fairly new company. I think you said 100 years that you were around. So that was a joke, guys, trying to lighten the room. 100 years, that's older than all of us. So, with that, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. And
I'll
can I have a second. Okay.
And that is to all three
Items,
elements on the motion, so all
yes.
three.
Mr. City Clerk, a roll vote, please.
Councilmember Peralta,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez,
Aye.
Councilmember Torres,
Abstain.
Councilmember Melendez,
Aye.
Mayor Cobos-Cawthorn.
And I vote aye with one abstention. Majority is still 4 and 1 abstention. Passes. On to item 7, and this is also a public hearing. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to have our Fire Chief, Fernando Pelaez and Angelica Palmeros, come up and present the item.
I'll do it for you. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. So before you, we have the resolution to approve the application for the local housing allocation PLH plan. And we have a PowerPoint for you at this time. I'm going to let Angelica Palmeros take the lead on this.
Just click. Okay. So we just want to, obviously, we presented this to you on October 12th for your review, to look at it. We posted it online, and we're going to go over just a couple of things that in order for you to consider approval. How do you work this? Oh, okay. It's okay. So basically the PLHA, the Permanent Local Housing Funds that were authorized in 2017, and they are going to keep on going as far as we know for with our new governor, or our current governor, to keep funding continuously 5 years. So basically, these funds became available to address housing and homelessness issues that were happening in our community. Let me go back here. Sorry, just want to make sure. So on August 17, 2022, the California Department of Housing and Community Development released the 2022 entitlement and non-entitlement local government formula component, the notice of funding, so that we could apply for these funds. Luckily, we met the criteria, which was our housing element, and we were able to pursue these dollars. Though this is the last year to recover the 2019 dollars that are left. If we don't, obviously apply, then we lose that year, and it's, entitled, it's entitled money to the city of Montebello, so we're entitled to those dollars. Obviously, the purpose of this funding is to provide a permanent source of funding to all our local governments, increase the supply of housing for households at or below 60%, and increase assistance to affordable owner-occupied, assist persons experiencing or at risk of homelessness, facilitate housing affordability, and promote projects and programs to meet the local government's unmet share of the regional housing needs, and ensure geographic equity in the distribution of the funds. So currently, this is for the city of Montebello, this would be the breakdown for the first 3 years, and then the other 2 years, obviously, between, we left the 22 and 23 allocations. So 316,758 would be coming in, as well as 2020, and you see the amount kind of increases, and in the last year, it decreases for a total of 1.9 approximately. So how did we go about, obviously, planning for these funds? On June 2022, we adopted the housing element update, which is, it's going to help us actually build our foundation for other additional fundings coming from the state and opportunities to the city of Montebello. On August 1st, we did come to you for requesting approval to apply for the PLHA formula funding. We came a little bit earlier without knowing the date of the release of the funds. We wanted to get ready because we had learned, what some of the steps are important for us, and we wanted to have enough time to pursue those steps. So it kind of, I guess we anticipated, because on August 17th, the notice was released. So now we're really rushing. So September 13, we actually moved to present this to our homeless task force. In review, we had providers that sit at the table that serve the homeless population and those at risk. And we discussed some of the options that the grant would allow us to spend the dollars. And we took it to the city clerk immediately on October 3rd for public hearing notice. We obviously used our social media to spread. I did see the announcement or the plan put out in different platforms out there. So so it was good that we tried to quickly use our social media. The other was that on October 12th, we came to you to do an overview, a presentation of what our thoughts were, how we could spend the money. And, my eyes. So, and we continued to, we did immediately that same day, we posted the additional documents that Councilmember Torres requested, so we did add those. I'm learning how to upload, so I got those. And then on October 26th, we're here today to obviously approve the resolution and the plan for the next 5 years. We're not tied to this plan in stone because things do change. But it's an opportunity at least to go pursue the dollars that we're entitled to, and that I think we should. And obviously, we're planning to submit soon by the end of the month, the application. The announcement possibly would be on or before February 2023. So as presented previously, we are looking at 3 eligible activities for the plan. Operating rental assistance for homeless and low-income older adults. We really want to focus on our seniors because most of them are getting between $800 and $1,000. So it's not a lot of money, and they barely have money for food. So support the MCAP program to continue. That's immediately can be spent the dollars, because one of obviously one of the issues that happens is that we create these funds, but we don't invest them quickly into our community. So this would allow us to put those dollars forth to immediately provide services or continue providing services. And then in the last, obviously, 2 years, we would be looking at the investment of those dollars to provide any permanent supportive housing, units to our community. I did add sort of the breakdown of what we're thinking about. Obviously, the rental assistance program to support some of the up to 12 months, depending on some of the programs, unfortunately, don't release the dollars quickly to house somebody. And so sometimes we have to put upfront those dollars. And that's one of the things that we really like, because if we find a rental unit and the landlord is secure, they will hold it for us. So that's one of the relationships we're building with our community, our landlord community in the city of Montebello. And again, assisting our homeless, and it breaks down obviously how we plan to spend the dollars. The local administration is 5% that we can keep to administer the grant and do other things and do our reports and pay our staff. And then continue with our capital reserves for permanent supportive housing as we're assessing. Director Palombi continues to assess all the housing that we're gonna build. So next, it's just a breakdown of how much it would cost to support how many clients we are to serve in that year. And obviously, because it only covers a certain percentage of the total cost of the MCAP, that's the number that we're committing to serving per year clients. Obviously, we plan to exceed as we currently are. And then again, we're building the rental assistance program. I just wanted to add some of the areas that we actually posted the information, and we did not receive any comments from our community. So I think that's a good thing when you don't receive any. But maybe next time we can, incorporate more time. Obviously, as you saw, it turned out really fast to do this stuff, the turnaround. So that's the end. Any questions?
Any questions from my colleagues?
No questions, Madam Mayor, just a general comment. I do want to thank our fire chief and deputy director for really, taking in some of our questions last meeting and incorporating it into this presentation. It's really nice to be able to see the dollar breakdown, as well as the breakdown in how many people we would be assisting through the different programs and the allocation of the funds. I think that allows council to really tell that narrative of how we're helping folks and how many folks we're helping within our community through these entitlement funds. Just overall, really great presentation, very informative, and want to thank you for that effort. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mayor, I just have a quick question.
Councilmember Melendez?
Thank you for the presentation. My only question is going to be in regards to the rental assistance. How would that look? How would we get the funding to, or the money to, what services will we provide with the rental assistance? How would the process look?
So what we're obviously doing, they come through the MCAP program or a referral, normally either through our PD or our fire. Normally that's how we get referrals, or they just call, Parks and Rec. Sometimes that's how we also get referrals. basically, we have to assess to about, comply with the grant. We have to demonstrate that they are below 60% if they're at risk. So all the documentation has to be taken. We do an assessment. And obviously, for us, we look at other areas of need, medical, and, obviously, it's addressing their mental health, their overall health, and any items that they may need. So that's how we determine also with the landlord, so they can tell us it's $2,000, the rent a year, So that's how we determine to supplement and also plan to continue how they're gonna support, because obviously these dollars are not ongoing, so we have to find additional backup. And for connecting them with the LA County LASA funding or any other funding in the area. So that's basically, and for a homeless client, obviously, we've been doing it right now. Again, we verify that they're homeless in our city, and we follow the same procedure to as we're looking for units.
Angelica, and we can also use our tiny home residents, participants as an opportunity to provide them rental assistance as well. So we'll have a good group of folks that could really take advantage of this through the MCAP program or through our tiny home program.
Yeah, definitely the tiny homes, it's only temporary, so we need to move them.
Sure. Thank you.
And I have a comment, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Torres?
Yeah, just also want to thank you for this evening's presentation and for the efforts. That was definitely noticed on social media, the outreach. And I think in partnership with staff, it's also incumbent on council to do the outreach to our community, to those that might be affected by particular programs, to those stakeholders that can use these kinds of programs. And so the opportunity was definitely out there for anyone to chime in if they saw a need here. And being that we didn't have any comments, at the same time, the programs that were already in development and proposed at the last meeting are definitely worthwhile efforts. There are so many different people that need help in our community, and no one is more important than the other. Here with MCAP, putting the money behind a program, doing that direct kind of outreach is so important. I was recently reading an article on a city that had solved their veteran homeless problem. I believe it was Riverside, that was able to house 80, 90 of their veterans within a year. And they were talking about the amount of contact that takes, that you can talk about 40 or 50 different individual contacts with one person just to try and get to that point. So when we talk about the significant funds that we're using here, it's because it is such a labor-intensive effort. So I want to thank the team for the efforts that you guys do in communicating and doing the outreach to our unhoused neighbors and community members, also for putting this plan together. And so just very appreciative. And that concludes my comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will open the public hearing. It's 8:16.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council on this item, either in support or in opposition? The record should reflect that no one is stepping forward. It's appropriate then to close the public hearing.
I'll close the hearing. Okay, it's at council level for a motion to approve.
I motion to approve the item.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, Councilmember Melendez. Mr. City Clerk, can you please call roll? Vote.
Yes. Councilmember Peralta,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez,
Aye.
Councilmember Torres,
Aye.
Councilmember Melendez,
Aye.
Mayor Cobos Cawthorn.
And I vote aye, and that approves unanimously. On to consent calendar.
And actually,
There's no-
just for the record, item number 8 has been pulled, so it will not be
There's
addressed this
no
evening.
regular business.
And then, moving on to consent, all matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine. Any items a council member wishes to discuss should be designated at this time. All other items may be approved in a single motion. Such approval will also waive the reading of any ordinance. And again, we have removed item number 9 for discussion tonight. So that just leaves us with item 10 and 11. And I'll poll the council, with, starting with Councilmember Peralta.
No items tonight, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Jimenez has stepped out of the room. Councilmember Torres.
No items.
Councilmember Melendez.
No items.
And Mayor Cobos Cawthorn.
No items.
Be appropriate to entertain a motion to approve items 10 and 11.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Yes.
I can go ahead without,
Yeah.
okay.
Councilmember Peralta,
Aye.
Councilmember Torres,
Aye.
Councilmember Melendez,
Aye.
Mayor Cobos Cawthorn.
Aye. And that carries 4-all. So that also goes to AB 1234. Anyone has any items, any travel reports? Say no, and there's no council orals. So before we adjourn, I just like to thank everyone that came and voiced their concerns, all that tuned in. I do like to close in memory of Lion, but not just Lion Jerry Buñuelos. He was also a city employee. I will turn over to my colleague, Salvador Melendez.
Thank you, Mayor. We got the news, I believe it was this past weekend, that unfortunately Jerry passed away. He was a Lion brother. He was very involved with the Lions, did a lot of great stuff for the community. He was also a city employee. He worked here for many years. I think recently retired, maybe 2-3 years ago. So I know a lot of you got to know him. Great guy, great person, amazing human being, and he didn't let anything stop him. And he just he did so much for this community, and he never cared to be to get any attention for it or be in front of pictures or anything like that. He did so many stuff behind the scenes. So if we can just hold the moment of silence for Jerry.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, before you adjourn, can you make the statement of the meeting moving to November 16th?
Yes, we'll be moving the meeting from the regular meeting till November 16th at 5 p.m. So if I can have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. So we'll be meeting November 16th at 5 p.m. Thank you.